Hey guys, and welcome to the Cultures. It's October international break, which for Liverpool fans will always be synonymous with the time one Jürgen Klopp arrived at the club. Now it's 2020, so it's 5 years since we've had the great man as our spiritual leader, as the leader of us on the field, off the field, all over the club, but most importantly in our minds and in our hearts. What Jurgen Klopp means to Liverpool fans, I don't think any video can do it justice, even including him and the highlights, because what Jurgen Klopp means to us is the 5 years that has taken to get to where we are. Excuse me. You got to go back to 1990 for when the club was last all on the same page. Jurgen Klopp was the man who came about and completely united the club. Now, what I will say is what this means with the club in harmony the way it is, the results on the pitch and the trophies, I have to say that this is the best 5 years of my life as a Liverpool fan. And I don't use that or say that lightly, because Liverpool has been my first love, and it's been my priority for my whole life from what I can remember. And the 5 years between 2015 and 2020 has been the absolute best one of those. And even within those 5 years, there's a whole journey within those 5 years. But let's really quickly recap the journey before that. So for a boyhood Liverpool fan, while the first team I saw was incredible, and it was the John Barnes, Peter Beardsley, John Aldridge team. We won the title back then. So 1990, Liverpool, that was the last time before this year that Liverpool were champions. In that next period, the mid-90s was something that always stood out to me. And, you know, the Roy Evans team, while it didn't win the league, watching Fowler, Collymore, Steve McManaman, Jamie Redknapp, Jason McAteer like a bat out of hell, with the pass and move style, was something that was always really close to my heart. After that, the 2000-2001 season, the treble, and the reason I use the treble is because I think I already told you I was raised in Manchester, so Liverpool fans were not allowed to say that we won the treble in 2001 because it wasn't the treble that Man United won. However, yeah, that season, loads of great memories as well. Nothing but love for Rafa's reign. I was a huge Rafa Benitez fan, but also the players we had on. We had peak Gerrard, we had Torres, we had Xabi Alonso, Javier Mascherano, of course, Jamie Carragher. So again, great times, Champions League winners, Champions League runner-up, Premier League runner-up. There was that week where we beat Man United and Real Madrid, hammered them twice in a week. And then, of course, there's the 2013-14 season, which was so close. But again, you can't forget those moments, like when Coutinho curled in that goal against Man City. Those are all phenomenal moments. But this 5 years is something else, and the whole journey in between. It really starts on the very start. You know, the press conference was amazing. All the photo presentations were really, really, like, we knew we had something. We knew we had a great leader. But the word that comes to my mind is gravitas. Jurgen Klopp has got the gravitas to take what the situation was at Liverpool and do it on his terms. You know, for other reasons in my life, Frank Sinatra's "My Way" has been ringing in my head, and I've been listening to it on my phone. And Jurgen Klopp has also done this his way. On one hand, it's what's happened on the pitch, but even off the pitch, the leadership style is his, the values are his, and the club is formed and shaped to embody what Jurgen Klopp stands for. And that is what a real institutional leader is. Right from the very start, that interview where he said we had to turn doubters into believers, he captured the essence of the fan base right there and then. We should have known that glorious era was about to come, because that is exactly where we were. you've got to remember that 1 year after 2013, 2014, in Steven Gerrard's last game, we got embarrassed against Stoke 6-1. So we were in a different place just a few months before Jürgen Klopp came in. Nothing major happened in the summer of 2015. I know Roberto Firmino came in, but he was going to prove to be a success later on. But other big signings like Christian Benteke, like it just wasn't happening. And letting Brendan Rodgers go was a move that Liverpool had to make to bring Klopp in. And right from that very first game against Tottenham, we all knew we were onto something really, really special. I remember having conversations with my brother and other Liverpool fans at the time, just talking about like the excitement. I think we all knew that something really special was about to come. Other moments in the next few months that stick out are obviously the West Brom game, where Tony Pulis decided to talk a bit of ish after the game, saying if Liverpool need to celebrate like that after getting a 2-2 draw against West Brom with the money they spent, that's not what that was. That was obviously uniting the club, and he doesn't need to know that. He was just calling that little moment. But as much as other team fans were trying the banter at the time, we weren't buying it. We kind of knew already that something a little bit special was was blossoming. You think back to beating Chelsea and beating Man City quite heavily in that winter of 2015 as well. And the first game I went to was at home against Bordeaux in the Europa League. And there was just a different vibe. Like, it was different. Like, the penny had dropped, and we were starting to become us again. And it was all down to one man. Other memories from that year are the disappointments of losing the League Cup to Man City on penalties, or the Europa League final, which was, it was bitterly disappointing. But you know what? Even if we had been able to get into the Champions League that year, I would not change a thing. Not one thing, because this whole chapter is complete the way it is. The whole thing has been about getting somewhere, nearly like just missing out, and then doing it again. And we did that because that year we were nearly in the Champions League, and then that meant the next year we had to go and get into the Champions League. That becomes a theme of Jürgen Klopp's reign at Liverpool. That summer, the 2016 summer, Sadio Mane came in, and many people believe the biggest signing of the Jürgen Klopp reign, certainly up to that point, of course, but he also was the talisman to start to really turn things around. And I had the fortune of working back in the UK multiple times for the next season, so I got to see Mane, Firmino, Coutinho in real life, and there was I was excited beyond words. It was one of those things where I kind of, deep down in my heart, I actually kind of knew we were going in the right direction, much faster than actually we were getting credit for. So I'd always be listening to football phone-ins from England and just trying to keep up to see what everybody else was saying. And the narrative was not what was happening in the fan base. And the interesting thing is, even within the fan base, we were kind of trying to keep a lid on what was happening. There were moments in 16 and 17 that were disappointing. And 16-17 was also a little bit crazy. Like, we had that Bournemouth game, which was just absolutely nuts. And I also even remember I was at Selhurst Park. We played Crystal Palace, and Firmino, Coutinho and Mane were running riot in the lime green shirt. Or was it neon green? But at the back, we just looked a shambles. It was Lovren and Matip at the time, but we were obviously lacking leadership, and the goalkeeper situation was something that needed improving as well. But yeah, no, the new year in 16-17 was frustrating at times, but we just had to get to the Champions League. And unlike the last season where we didn't, by not winning the Europa League, we did get there in 16-17. The summer 17, of course, that's when Mo Salah came, and 17-18 was just another incredible time. I remember the Hoffenheim games to get into the Champions League. Trent scored a free kick, and we just looked incredible. There was a team goal that Emre Can actually scored as well at Anfield, where in the Hoffenheim return leg, where I was like, what is this? We've just grown like 2 or 3 years in one summer. And that was the Salah effect as well. I think everyone knows by now I'm a huge fan and advocate of Mo Salah and the impact that he's made at Liverpool. I think he's so underrated. So it was in that time when we had one of these like defeats like Aston Villa the other day. We had the Tottenham 4-1 at Wembley. And everybody was so quick to write us off. And I actually remember making an Instagram post the game after that saying, you know what? Let's see where we are in March or April, right? Let's see where we are, because to write this team off against one performance, a terrible performance, with all the other things we were showing, I don't think you get it. Like, I don't think that the wider football world gets what's happening right now. And we'd already had a blip earlier in the season when Mane got sent off and we got hammered by Man City as well at the Etihad. So we'd had one of those already. And then the great man, Virgil van Dijk, comes in January, bangs that header against Everton in his first game, and we never looked back. It was that January where we just seemed to bum rush Manchester City in the league. There was the epic Champions League run that culminated in us getting to the final in Madrid, and again, such grave disappointment, and yet the shoots of hope and pride that existed, even in that defeat, was I don't remember anything like that. I don't remember. I think we all knew at that point we were the real deal. The following season, 18-19, where we actually went that one step closer. Remember the theme I was saying, and we became champions of Europe. And again, what a run! What moments! Barcelona, 3-0 down, going into the next second leg without Salah and without Firmino. And our forward line was Mane, Shaqiri and Origi, and we did it. I mean, these things are just famous in football folklore. This is just my rendition of it. I think we all know how all these things turned out. We end up the next season winning the European Super Cup and also the World Club Championship, which again, you got to be in them to win it. So anybody who tries to knock those down, you're tripping, because first you got to win the Champions League, and I think we already know, if you do the maths, England ain't bringing that many Champions Leagues into the table. So yeah, anybody who's trying to knock that accomplishment down. But we really weren't even overdoing that within the fan base. Honestly, that was a lot of banter as well, just being the World Club champions of the world, champions of everything. It was just funny because we were becoming the unbearables, and Jürgen Klopp was the spiritual leader of that, because the irony is he is not unbearable. You cannot not love this man. Anyone who watches football and doesn't love Jürgen Klopp, or anyone who studies leadership and does not love Jürgen Klopp, you're in the wrong game. You're totally in the wrong game. This guy is the man. But what it all boils down to is the 30-year wait. And he brought that home in 1920. And what a way to mark the end of the fifth year. I think we all look back to that original opening, the opening press conference where he said, I think in a few years we've won at least one title. Mate, we won a few titles in that time, and the champions of Europe, again, having access to Europe in my professional world, it means so much. Like, being the Champions League winner is such a big thing for prestige, but within the fan base, within Liverpool, we wanted to be the champions of England because we hadn't been for 30 years and we just had to sit and wait and watch. And then we did it last year, and even then it was special because of how many points we got and how the style in which we did it. Like some of the games, like Leicester, that game against Leicester City away at Christmas time. There are no words. There are no words to explain what the last 5 years have meant. And if you're a lover of sport, if you watched this as a neutral or as a Liverpool fan, there is no way you couldn't love the story. There's no way you could not love the impact that this man has made. So for anybody watching the video that can get this video to Jürgen Klopp, please do, because this is my moment to say, Jürgen, I absolutely adore you. I love you for what you've done for Liverpool Football Club, Liverpool the city. I love you for what you've done for the fan base, but I also love you for what you've done for me personally. I think you will never know what you mean to me. You'll never know what your leadership means to me. You'll never know how much I want one of those hugs. You'll never know. But I want to just tell you one thing, that you literally are a shining star in a world that does lack leadership, in a world where we are sensationalized by so many things that might not be up to people's standards or up to what social norm would have it. You are someone that makes things worth watching, doing your box office, your show business, but you're also a fantastic man with a massive heart and a massive smile, and I look up to you so much. Mate, you will never walk alone. Jürgen, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for everything, and you guys, thank you for watching the Cultures.